I am Marsha Henderson, the Minister of Tourism for the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. I also have the responsibility for international transport, civil aviation, and maritime, all the other areas that drive the tourism industry.
Minister, thank you so much for giving Breaking Travel News some time here at SOTIC, Turks and Caicos. You've just come off a panel.
Right.
Give us a bit of a debrief.
It was interesting. I mean, being new to tourism, being on the panel with a number of seasoned tourism officers, I found it very intriguing, particularly the discussions on investment in tourism and the different perspectives, especially as it relates to the discussions on regional tourism investment and what we need to be doing as a region to attract investors to our region.
And for you, how do you go about doing that?
Well, in St. Kitts and Nevis, what we've done is we came up with the Sustainable Island State Agenda, and that gives us the blueprint as to where we want to be. There is a time frame on it for 2030 to finalize and do the respective consultations to have the buy-in into the Sustainable Island State Agenda. That is just the transitioning from where we are now into a sustainable island state. We thought that we needed to do that to survive. Coming off of COVID, we definitely needed to rethink how we see St. Kitts and Nevis and how we see tourism as well. And so doing that, we've positioned ourselves to attract investors. We have an investment package within the Sustainable Island State Agenda. We've done a number of things like the Good Governance Agenda, where we've changed and introduced legislation to boost our investors' confidence as well. And so we think with the Sustainable Island State Agenda, with that being clear, then investors would have a clear idea as where we want to be as an island and as a destination as well, and what investments would be relevant to our own agenda.
I mean, it makes complete sense that
Right.
in order to be attractive to investment, you need to be able to have a sustainable business,
Right.
for anyone to come in and invest, as well as obviously all of the kind of broader, wider aspects of what sustainability really means.
Right, and not just sustainability as it relates to the environment, but as well as it relates to people, finance, and where we see ourselves as an island and how we attract sustainable investment.
And to have such a broad portfolio that you have,
Right.
you're able to kind of ensure that there's a real sense of kind of cross-governmental thinking,
Right.
joined up thinking to make that happen.
Right. I also have the responsibility for labor and employment, and in achieving the Sustainable Island State Agenda, we have to consider the just transitioning of our labor markets to prepare our people for this sustainable island state. And the transitioning, we call it the just transitioning of the labor market. Where we see ourselves in 20 years, 30 years, what we need to do within the respective labor markets to get there.
And that transcends into education
Right.
in terms of
Changing
capacity and capability planning.
Absolutely, changing of curriculums, assessing the gaps. For example, our focus is on renewable forms of energy. Do we have the correct skill sets on island, to assist with that transitioning? We have a solar farm at the airport. Every time it malfunctions, we have to bring in experts from overseas. That is unfortunate. If we are going to transition into a sustainable island state, we absolutely need to prepare the labor market for this transitioning as well. So it's a comprehensive review of how we achieve the Sustainable Island State Agenda, legislative-wise, building and preparing human capital, and all the other things that help us to transition.
And when you think about investment, who are you competing against?
Who are we competing against? The world, certainly not our Caribbean colleagues. We're at the Caribbean Tourism Organization conference, and we say here we don't compete, we compete. I just learned that. But I will say we are competing against other destinations outside of the region, the Caribbean region. Even though my CEO is saying we're competing against the world.
And obviously here you are, I'm assuming this is your first SOTIC?
It is my first, yes.
So what are you really looking to get out of the conference?
How we move forward as a region, for me, I'm hoping that at the end of this, what we can take away is the need to do a general assessment as a region of the member states and the needs of the member states, and coming up with an investment, a regional investment plan. Of course, we all have the responsibilities as member states to generate investments for ourselves, but as a region, if we can do a complete assessment and even have guidance provided to us as to how we can generate regional investment as well to drive the industry regionally.
Minister, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much as well, Justin.